We'll call to order the 1,679th meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Metropolitan St. Louis Sewer District. Can we get a roll call, Tim?
Yes. Mr. Wabi.
Here.
Mr. Watson.
Yes.
Mr. Evans.
Yes.
Mr. Nicholson.
Yes.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
Ms. Fair.
Yes. Is there a motion for approval of the journal of the preceding meetings?
Second.
I have no comments this evening, so we'll move to the report of the board committees, starting with the ad hoc committee, which I will give the report. Yeah, I have it. Thank you. The 2023 ad hoc board committee met on November 15th, 2023 at 2:03 p.m. The meeting was attended by Chairperson Fair, Vice Chairperson Wilson, Trustees Nicholson, Evans, Watson, and Wabi. The staff present were Tracy Coleman and Tim Snoke. The Vice President of HR Gov, James Arndt, was also in attendance. There were no members of the public present. I called roll and had no further comments. The minutes from the preceding meeting on September 6, 2023 were approved. The agenda for the meeting was as follows. At approximately 2:04 p.m., I requested a motion to move into closed session to discuss personnel matters under revised Missouri statute section 610.021 subsection 3. All present trustees concurred. At approximately 4:02 p.m., I requested a motion to end closed session and return to open session, and all trustees concurred. I adjourned the meeting at 4:02 p.m. The next committee meeting date will be November 29th, 2023 at a time to be determined. There is another ad hoc board report from the 6th meeting. The 2023 ad hoc board committee met on November 29th, 2023 at 7:06 a.m. The meeting was attended by myself, Vice Chairperson Wilson, Trustees Nicholson, Evans, Watson, and Wabi. Staff present were Tracy Coleman and Tim Snoke. Vice President of HR Gov, James Arndt, was also in attendance. There were no members of the public present. I called roll and had no further comments. The minutes from the preceding meeting on November 15th, 2023 were approved. The agenda for the meeting was as follows. At approximately 7:07 a.m., I requested a motion to move into closed session to discuss personnel matters under revised statute of Missouri, section 610.021, subsection 3, and all present trustees concurred. At approximately 6:27 p.m., I requested a motion to end closed session and return to open session, and all trustees concurred. I adjourned the meeting at 6:27 p.m. The next committee meeting will be determined at a later date. This concludes the 2023 ad hoc board committee comment report. Next, we have a report from the audit committee. Trustee Watson.
Yes, thank you. The audit committee met on December the 5th at 7:33 a.m. The meeting was attended by trustees Evans, Nicholson, Wabi, Wilson, with trustees Watson and Furr attending online. Chairperson Watson called roll and had no introductory comments. The minutes of the September 5th audit committee meeting were approved. Next, the district's external auditor, Clifton Lawson Allen, presented an overview of results of the annual independent audit package of the year ended June 30th, 2023. An unmodified or clean opinion was issued for the district's financial statements. No material uncorrected or corrected misstatements were identified. No fraud or illegal acts were identified. In working with the management and performing engagement, no difficulties or disagreements were encountered by the auditors. The new GASB 9690 subscription-based information technology arrangement, the county standards was adopted during the fiscal year. No weakness or significant deficiencies in internal control were identified during the audit process. A management letter was not issued, as no items were identified that met the threshold for the formal communication. Next, internal audit presented a report for an audit engagement that consisted of a review of the district's collection cycle. Specifically, the engagement involved in a review of the district's procedures for collecting or past due customer accounts. Scope included procedures to review the process performed by the district personnel, as well as the process performed by the 8 third-party entities that participate in the district's overall collections program. The base period for testing data transactions was fiscal years 23 and 22. The engagement received a satisfactory or clean opinion. 4 opportunities for improvement were presented and discussed with the committee. None of the identified items were considered significant individually or aggregate. Questions were addressed as they were received from the committee. The next audit committee meeting is tentatively scheduled for Tuesday, January 2nd, 2024. The meeting was adjourned at approximately 8:13 a.m. This concludes the audit committee report.
Thank you, Trustee Watson. Next is the Finance Committee report. Trustee Evans?
Thank you. Finance Committee met on December 5th, 2023 at 8:17 a.m. The meeting was attended by Trustees Wilson, Evans, Wabi, Nicholasison, with Trustees Fair and Watson online. Chairperson Evans called roll and no further comments. The minutes of the October 31, 2023 Finance Committee meeting were approved. Mike Comstock of Aon presented a review of the investment returns relating to the defined benefit, defined contribution, and the deferred compensation pension plans for the third quarter of 2023. Mike reviewed the return on the plan assets compared to the applicable benchmarks. The defined benefit plan returned negative 3.6% in the third quarter, less than the policy benchmark return of negative 2.9%. Year-to-date through September, the plan returned at 3.7%, slightly above the policy benchmark return of 3.4%. He also reviewed the investment management fees associated with the plans and indicated that the district's fees were less than those charged to its institutional peers. Next on the agenda was a review of the district's operating fund portfolio as of November 30, 2023 by Secretary Treasurer Tim Snow. Tim indicated that the portfolio is in compliance with the district's investment policy. The next committee meeting is tentatively scheduled for Tuesday, January 2nd, 2023. The meeting was adjourned at 8:35 a.m. This concludes the Finance Committee Board Comments report.
Thank you, Trustee Evans. Trustee Nicholasison, can we have the Program Management
Yes.
report, please?
The Program Management Committee met on December 5th, 2023 at 8:37 a.m. The meeting was attended by Trustees Nicholasison, Wabi, Evans, and Wilson, with Watson and Fair online. I called roll and had no further comments. The minutes of the October 31st, 2023 Program Management meeting were approved. The agenda items to be introduced tonight were presented and discussed, including a detailed discussion regarding the following items. Ordinance numbers 16261 and 16262. Staff reviewed the details on the annual 2024 funding appropriations for the CSO green infrastructure programs. These programs continue the district's consent decree commitment to reduce combined sewer overflow to the Mississippi River and the River des Peres. Ordinance numbers 16263 and 16264. Staff discussed unplanned supplemental appropriations for the 2 ongoing construction projects. Additional costs were due to unplanned rock excavation and the required relocation of an unidentified electrical service encountered on the projects. Ordinance numbers 16266 through 16270. Staff reviewed the details and bid information for 5 construction projects bid over the past month. These ordinances will authorize contracts and appropriate the necessary funds for these projects. The staff answered questions from the committee regarding the coordination required on projects located within multiple municipalities. Ordinance numbers 16271 through 16278. Staff presented and reviewed details of 8 planned appropriations and contract authorizations for engineering design services on tonight's agenda. The services will provide engineering design for sanitary sewer relief projects required by the consent decree and various stormwater projects funded through the OMCI taxing districts. These projects are planned for construction over the next 2 fiscal years. Ordinance numbers 16287 through 16292. Staff is requesting appropriation for the continued funding of a municipal stormwater grant program within the 6 OMCI taxing subdistricts. Staff additionally requested continued authorizations to administer the grants below $50,000 without future approval of the board. Staff answered a question from the committee regarding the administration of grants and future board actions. Under other business, Staff gave a brief presentation and video on a major milestone accomplished this year. The district achieved the removal of 85% of its constructed sanitary sewer overflows, SSOs, by the end of 2023, as required by the consent decree. The district has reduced SSOs from 149 total at the completion of the SSO master plan to a total of 26 still existing. Mr. Unverford thanked the entire district staff and the board for their support in achieving this milestone. The next committee meeting is tentatively scheduled for January 2nd, 2023. The meeting was adjourned at 9:33 a.m. This concludes the Program Management Board comments report.
Thank you, Trustee Nicholasison. The final committee report is the Stakeholder Relations Committee.
Stakeholder Relations Committee meeting, board comments report. Stakeholder Relations Committee met on December 5th, 2023 at 9:37 a.m. Meeting was attended by Chairperson Wilson, Trustee Evans, Nicholson, Wabi, and online with Trustees Fair and Watson. Chairperson Wilson called roll and had no further comment. The minutes of the October 26th, 2023 Special Stakeholder Relations Committee meeting and October 31st, 2023 Stakeholder Relations Committee meeting were voted on and approved. The agenda and discussion items were as follows. Discussion by Tim Snoke regarding election ballot language. Tim discussed the ordinance number 16259 and a change to the ballot language detailed in the document. Proposed Proposition Y has been renamed Proposition W, and the revised ordinance will be presented as unfinished business with an amend and adopt vote at the December 2023 board. Discussion by Jenny Kinstra regarding an ordinance by Diversity Reporting Application Program Service. This item was pulled as it was not ready for introduction and will be discussed at the next committee meeting. Closed session. Trustee Wilson called a vote at approximately 9:38 a.m. to move the meeting to closed session to discuss individually identifiable personnel records, performance ratings, or records pertaining to employees' employment under Section 610.21, subsection 13, and records relating to municipal hotlines established for the reporting of abuse and wrongdoing under Section 610.21, subsection 16. Trustee Wilson called the vote and moved the meeting to open session at approximately 11:14 a.m. Adjournment. The meeting was adjourned at 11:15 a.m. Next meeting is tentatively scheduled for January 2nd, 2024. This concludes the Stakeholder Relations Committee board comment.
Thank you, Trustee Wilson. Next, we have a report from the Executive Director.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Tonight, MSD's Board of Trustees will determine whether or not to put two ballot initiatives on the April 2nd, 2024 election. The first initiative involves a new stormwater service, and then second involves how to pay for the next 4 years of the remaining 16 years of state and federal mandated work on the wastewater system. The stormwater ballot initiative is whether or not MSD should provide a new service to participate in addressing stormwater flooding and creek erosion issues in our entire service area. To fund this proposed program, the annual property tax cost for our customers, our residential customers, with a median household income value of $176,600 will be $25 per year on their property tax bill. The proposition is a simple yes/no question. If the voters vote yes, MSD will start charging the property tax in calendar year 2025 and provide approximately $34 million worth of service per year. If the voters vote no, there will be no increase in their property tax for this initiative, and MSD will not provide this additional service. The wastewater ballot initiative is how to pay for an additional $1.6 billion of state and federally mandated improvements to the wastewater system over the next 4 years. The voters vote yes to approve an additional $750 million in bonding authority for MSD. The rates will be lower than paying by cash, but will eventually lead to having to pay future debt service. The voters vote no to allow additional bonding authority. The rates will be significantly higher now with less debt service to repay in the future. For the exact increases, we invite the public to visit our website, attend any of the many public education events we will be holding over the next 4 months, or contact us to make a presentation to any group that is interested. There's been some information in the press about an alternative bonding scenario. While it is true that there was a minority report generated by the Rate Commission, much of the information being presented is either misleading or inaccurate. In short, the alternative proposal would have reduced the average monthly bill for a customer by about $2.35 per month for 7 years when compared to the Rate Commission approved proposal. That is a total of about $200 over a 7-year period. For more than 3 decades after that, the alternative proposal would have been seen increasingly more expensive costs for the ratepayer. In addition, the alternative proposal would have very likely lowered MSD's bond rating and resulted in higher future costs for the alternative proposal than I previously described. This issue was discussed in detail in the Rate Commission. Their conclusion was stated in the final report that MSD should use the rate structure proposed by MSD staff. In addition, they request that MSD look into making its low-income customer assistance program more robust, which at the direction of our Board of Trustees, staff has already begun. There are many other specific details about the proposal being put in front of the voters that may affect individual ratepayers differently. One example is that the City of St. Louis unmetered residential customers will see a 0.8% decrease in their monthly charge the first year instead of the 7% increase for metered residential customers. MSD invites the public to contact us, attend any of our continuing public education events through April 2024, or invite us to present to your group if you would like to learn more. Madam Chairperson, that ends my report.
Thank you, Mr. Holscher. Next, we have 2 comments from the public. Members of the public are reminded that comments are limited to 5 minutes. Our first comment is from Mr. Tracus.
Good evening,
Good evening.
Good evening.
Madam Chair, members of the board. Thank you for the opportunity to appear before you and speak to you again. I'm here tonight to talk about Ordinance 16260, which is your proposed ballot initiative. I have a problem with it because I haven't finished my research yet, but I'm not sure you have the legal authority to pursue this ballot initiative. Primarily because, as written, you propose to charge upon all non-residential customers, whether public or private. That language, I believe, includes property owned by the city and the county. Therefore, arguably, you are charging county taxpayers twice. Once to them directly, and secondly, out of the taxes they pay to county government. As I said, I haven't done my research, but I intend to continue to pursue it. At the same time, I intend to seek a plaintiff to sue you to stop this initiative should you pass it tonight. With that in mind, I suggest that you table this for at least a week or 2 and do your own research as to whether or not you have the authority, and if you pass this, whether or not it will have any legal effect. The other thing I wanted to talk about tonight is the recent decision by the board with respect to Mr. Hessler's replacement. I find it frankly not just challenging, but almost impossible to believe that the decision to hire Mr. Berthold comes after a rigorous selection process that involved nearly 40 candidates from all across the country based on a search by a consultant, GovHR. With no disrespect to Mr. Berthold, this smacks way too much as an inside game. You essentially have cloned your executive director and are replacing him with what amounts to almost an android. So I think what I'll do, in fact, I know that's what I'll do. I'm going to sunshine communications from HR Gov with this board and just see how intense and rigorous this process really was, and what kind of candidates you actually considered before deciding to go inside and just simply replicate what you currently have. And I've already spoken at length with you before with respect to the lack of independent critical thinking that this board engages in with respect to decisions that are based on representations and recommendations by your executive team. That goes as well to the so-called Independent Rate Commission, which is, I said last time I was here, is anything but independent. So I would hope that you take these comments seriously, take a hard look at the language of your proposed ballot initiative, and at least for tonight's purposes, table it until you get some counsel with respect to whether or not what you're going to put on the ballot will actually be legally enforceable. Thank you, and have a Merry Christmas.
The next public comment will be by Mr. Sullivan.
Proposition S will be opposed, and I'm confident will be defeated. Voters should not approve additional funding for MSD when there is little assurance how the funds will be spent. MSD has a well-established reputation for questionable and wasteful spending. There's no reason to believe the same won't happen with the additional revenue. MSD has also been lax in enforcing stormwater regulations over the years. Developers have long been able to do as they please. This is why there are so many stormwater problems and why it will likely cost more than $1 billion to address them. Residents often tell of flooding problems they didn't have until a subdivision or a strip center was built. MSD has not been mentioning that the impervious charges imposed by Proposition S would apply to local governments. The City of St. Louis would get quite a bill just for the airport, which supposedly has more impervious area than any MSD customer. A previous impervious charge that was proposed would have meant over $400,000 a year in charges for the airport. When you consider all the property owned by the city, the monthly bill could be staggering. Does anyone know what it will cost the city, or the county, or Florissant, or University City, or Crestwood? The impervious charge will also apply to churches in both public and private schools. What will this cost the Archdiocese of St. Louis, which has quite a number of churches and schools in the area? They almost all have parking lots. This is information that should be known. This evening's agenda has nearly $250 million of spending. As usual, it will all be rubber stamped by a board that seldom understands what it is voting on. Not surprisingly, this evening's agenda contains millions of dollars of no-bid consulting contracts. This is the long-time MSD specialty. Of course, all the consultants will be contributing to the campaign for the April ballot proposals, hoping to keep the gravy train going. Item number 51 gives a salary for Brett Berthold, the new executive director. He is a poor choice as it will only mean business as usual at MSD. The board should have done what the St. Louis Police Department did when looking for a new chief, go outside the department. Just as changes were needed for the police department, they are needed at MSD. And until they are, you will not have the confidence of the people of this area. Thank you for listening to my comments.
Are there any public hearing reports this evening?
There are not.
Communications?
Nope.
Let's move to the consent agenda, please.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. The consent agenda tonight is items 10 through 17. Is there any board member who would like to pull an item for a separate vote? Hearing none, is there a motion for adoption?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
All right, with that, we will move to unfinished business. We have one item tonight. This is an amend and adoption of ordinance number 16259, which is the calling for a bond election to be held on April 2nd, 2024 in the district on the proposition of whether to issue $750 million principal amount of sewer revenue bonds. Staff would like to amend this ordinance by striking the two references in the original ordinance to Proposition Y and replacing them or inserting in its place Proposition W. That's the only change to the ordinance. Is there a motion for that amendment?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Is there a motion for adoption?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
All right, now we'll move to new business. Starting with item 19, introduction of ordinance number 16261, a supplemental appropriation of $5 million from the general fund to be used for construction of green infrastructure in the CSO volume reduction green infrastructure project in the city of St. Louis and St. Louis County. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Item 20 is the introduction of ordinance number 16262, a supplemental appropriation of $1 million from the general fund to be used for construction of green infrastructure in the CSO volume reduction green infrastructure river to Pear project in the city of St. Louis and St. Louis County. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Item 21 is an introduction and adoption of ordinance 16263, making a supplemental appropriation of $60,000 from the Operation Maintenance, Construction, and Improvement, or OMCI Fund of Deer Creek, used for storm sewer construction in the Dearborn Drive Storm Sewer Project in the city of Orson Woods, and authorizing the district to appropriate additional funds to a contract with Gershenson Construction. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Do I hear an objection to the suspension of the rule? Hearing none, is there a motion for adoption?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Item 22, the introduction of ordinance number 16264, a supplemental appropriation of $75,000 from the sanitary replacement fund to be used for pump station improvements in the Inner City UPS Pump Station Replacement Phase 2 project in unincorporated St. Louis County. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Item 23, the introduction of ordinance number 16265, a supplemental appropriation of $2.74 million from the Sanitary Replacement Fund to be used for sanitary sewer rehabilitation in the Bissell Coldwater, Missouri Merrimack Public Ionizing Reduction Contract F project in the city of Florissant and unincorporated St. Louis County, and authorizing the district to appropriate additional funds to a contract with Insituform Technologies. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Item 24, introduction of ordinance number 16266, appropriating $2.6 million from the sanitary replacement fund to use for sanitary sewer construction in the Edmondson Sanitary Relief Project in the city of Woodson Terrace, city of Breckenridge Hills, and unincorporated St. Louis County, and authorizing the district to enter into a contract with Gershenson Construction. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Item 25, the introduction of ordinance number 16267, appropriating $2.1 million from the sanitary replacement fund to be used for pump station improvements in the Weston Place Pump Station Improvements Project in the city of Town and Country, and authorizing the district to enter into a contract with Understall Contracting Company. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Abstain.
Item 26 is the introduction of ordinance number 16268, an appropriation of $3 million from the sanitary replacement fund to be used for sanitary sewer construction in the Woodson Sanitary Relief Project in the city of Overland, and authorizing the district to enter into a contract with Keeley Construction. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Item 27 is the introduction of ordinance number 16269, appropriating $310,000 from the OMCI Fund of Deer Creek to be used for storm sewer construction in the East Essex Avenue 802 to 804 storm sewer project in the city of Glendale, and authorizing the district to enter into a contract with Gershenson Construction. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Item 28 is the introduction of ordinance number 16270, appropriating $550,000 from the OMCI Fund of Deer Creek to be used for channel stabilization in the Quailways Drive number 8 channel improvements project in the city of Creve Coeur, and authorizing the district to enter into a contract with Keeley Construction Group. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Item 29 is the introduction of ordinance number 16271, appropriating $260,000 from the sanitary replacement fund to be used for the design of sanitary sewers in the Conway Meadows Sanitary Relief Project in the city of Chesterfield, and authorizing the district to enter into a contract with Cole and Associates. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Item 30 is the introduction of ordinance number 16272, appropriating $320,000 from the OMCI Fund of Coldwater Creek, used for designing the Coldwater Creek OMCI Stormwater Design Project in the cities of Calverton Park and Overland, and authorizing the district to enter into a contract with TIPA Engineering Services. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Item 31 is the introduction of ordinance number 16273, appropriating $316,000 from the Sanitary Replacement Fund to be used for design of sanitary sewers in the Earlsfield Sanitary Relief and Kingston Pump Station Elimination Project in unincorporated St. Louis County, and authorizing the district to enter into a contract with George Butler Associates. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Item 32, the introduction of ordinance number 16274, appropriating $170,000 from the OMCI Fund of Wellston to be used for design in the Hillsdale Drive 7501 Storm Sewer Project in the city of Greendale, and authorizing the district to enter into a contract with Natalia Farrow and Brown. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved. Second.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Item 33 is an introduction of ordinance number 16275, appropriating $224,000 from the OMCI Fund of the Seminary Branch of River to Pear to be used for designing the Pembroke Drive Storm Improvements Project in the city of Marlborough, and authorizing the district to enter into a contract with Terra Engineering. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Item 34 is the introduction of ordinance number 16276, appropriating $251,000 from the Sanitary Replacement Fund to be used for the design of sanitary sewers in the Royal Arms Court Sanitary Relief Project in the cities of Crestwood and Grantwood Village, and authorizing the district to enter into a contract with Stock and Associates Consulting Engineers. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Item 35 is the introduction of ordinance number 16277, appropriating $287,000 from the Sanitary Replacement Fund to be used for the design of sanitary sewers in the Strassner Avenue Sanitary Relief Project in the city of Brentwood, and authorizing the district to enter into a contract with Hart Engineering. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Item 36 is the introduction of ordinance number 16278, appropriating $225,000 from the OMCI Fund of University City to use for design the University City Branch OMCI Stormwater Design Project in the cities of Overland and University City, and authorizing the district to enter into a contract with Oates Associates. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Item 37 is the introduction of ordinance number 16279, a supplemental appropriation of $150,000 from the general fund to be used for rainfall data gathering and analysis in the radar rainfall data project throughout the district service area, and authorizing the district to appropriate additional funds to a contract with View and Associates. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Item 38 is the introduction of ordinance number 16280, an appropriation of $475,000 from the Standard Replacement Fund to be used for general engineering services in the General Services Agreement Facility and Sewer Design Contract B project in various locations within the district, and authorizing the district to enter into a contract with GHD Inc. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
Item 39 is the introduction of ordinance number 16281, appropriating $150,000 from the Stormwater Regulatory Fund to be used for water quality and environmental regulatory support in the General Services Agreement Water Quality Support Services Project in various locations within the district, and authorizing the district to enter into a contract with HDR Engineering. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
All right, items 40 through 44 are all to appropriate funds from the general fund for property appraisal services. Unless there's an objection, I'd like to read each of those and take one vote on the group. Hearing no objections, we'll start with item 40, which is the introduction of ordinance number 16282, appropriating $75,000 from the general fund to be used for property appraisal services in the general services agreement property appraisal contract A project in various locations in the district, authorizing the district to enter into a contract with Real Estate Analyst Limited. Item 41 is the introduction of ordinance number 16283, appropriating $75,000 from the general fund to be used for property appraisal services in the general services agreement property appraisal contract B project in various locations in the district, and authorizing the district to enter into a contract with Mueller and Neff Real Estate Appraisers. Item 42 is the introduction of ordinance number 16284, appropriating $75,000 from the general fund to be used for property appraisal services in the general services agreement property appraisal contract C project in various locations within the district, and authorizing the district to enter into a contract with Volkert, Inc. Item 43 is the introduction of ordinance number 16285, appropriating $75,000 from the general fund to be used for property appraisal services in the general services agreement property appraisal contract D project in various locations within the district, and authorizing the district to enter into a contract with DJ Howard and Associates. And item 44 is the introduction of ordinance number 16286, appropriating $75,000 from the general fund to be used for property appraisal services in the general services agreement property appraisal contract E project in various locations within the district, and authorizing the district to enter into contract with planning and valuation consultants. So for items 40 through 44, is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Wabi.
Aye.
Mr. Watson.
Yes.
Mr. Evans.
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison.
Yes.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
Ms. Fair.
Yes.
All right, items 45 through 50 are all appropriating dollars from various OMCI funds and authorizing the district to enter into intergovernmental agreements with municipalities. Are there any objections to grouping those? Hearing none. Item 45 is the introduction of ordinance number 16287, a supplemental appropriation of $1,047,225 from the OMCI Fund of Coldwater Creek for cost share for municipal stormwater expenditures in the Coldwater Creek OMCI reimbursements program in St. Louis County, and authorizing the district to enter into intergovernmental agreements with municipalities where the revenue is collected. Item 46 is the introduction of ordinance number 16288, a supplemental appropriation of $1,658,443 from the OMCI Fund of Deer Creek for cost share for municipal stormwater expenditures in the Deer Creek OMCI reimbursement program in St. Louis County, and authorizing the district to enter into intergovernmental agreements with municipalities where the revenue is collected. Item 47, excuse me, is the introduction of ordinance number 16289, a supplemental appropriation of $787,127 from the OMCI Fund of Graveway Creek for cost share for municipal stormwater expenditures in the Graveway Creek OMCI reimbursements program in St. Louis County, and authorizing the district to enter into intergovernmental agreements with municipalities where the revenue is collected. Item 48 is the introduction of ordinance number 16290, a supplemental appropriation of $131,397 from the OMCI Fund of the Seminary Branch of River de Pere for cost share for municipal stormwater expenditures in the Seminary OMCI reimbursements program in St. Louis County, and authorizing the district to enter into intergovernmental agreements with municipalities where the revenue is collected. Item 49 is the introduction of ordinance number 16291, a supplemental appropriation of $153,176 from the OMCI Fund of Sugar Creek for cost share for municipal stormwater expenditures in the Sugar Creek OMCI reimbursements program in St. Louis County, and authorizing the district to enter into intergovernmental agreements with municipalities where revenue is collected. And item 50, the introduction of ordinance number 16292, a supplemental appropriation of $481,403 from the OMCI Fund of University City for cost share for municipal stormwater expenditures in the University City OMCI reimbursements program in St. Louis County, and authorizing the district to enter into intergovernmental agreements with municipalities where the revenue is collected. So for items 45 through 50, is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Wabi.
Aye.
Mr. Watson.
Yes.
Mr. Evans.
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison.
Yes.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
Ms. Fair.
Yes.
Item 51 is an introduction and adoption of ordinance number 16293, repealing, I want to point out, the end of this paragraph states that there's an emergency clause. However, there is no emergency clause needed in this ordinance, so that language has been removed. So I'm not going to read it. It's not part of the ordinance. Repealing ordinance number 16035, adopted November 10th, 2022, and enacting a new ordinance in lieu thereof, prescribing the salary of the executive director of the district, and authorizing the chairman of the board of trustees of the district to enter into a contract with Brett Berthold, whereby Mr. Berthold will be employed as the executive director of the district. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Wabi.
Aye.
Mr. Watson.
Yes.
Mr. Evans.
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison.
Yes.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
Ms. Fair.
Yes.
Do I hear an objection to the suspension of the rule? Hearing none, is there a motion for adoption?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Wabi.
Aye.
Mr. Watson.
Yes.
Mr. Evans.
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison.
Yes.
Mr. Wilson. Ms. Fair.
Yes.
All right, and then we have one resolution tonight. It is item 52, the adoption of Resolution 3870, to exercise option year 3 of a contract previously authorized by ordinance 15565, adopted December 10, 2020, that authorized the district to enter into a contract with Crawford, Murphy, and Tilley to provide professional services for treatment plants and pump stations in various locations throughout the district. Is there a motion for adoption?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Wabi?
Aye.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Fair?
Yes.
All right, we have no more items up for business, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Meeting is concluded. Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.